Welcome to Vinyl Verdict. I'm Bell.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Plouffe.
And this is a show where the sun is always shining.
Sure.
Damn.
What an intro, right?
Wow.
We've been really skipping out on the tagline, so I'm going to keep trying to bring it back. Because this week, we're talking about something that kind of relates to sunshine. Rainbows.
I like it.
We're listening to In Rainbows by Radiohead, the 7th album by a controversial band in general, but also here on Vinyl Verdict.
Why are they controversial in general?
Oh, yeah. I was curious.
In general,
why?
because their fans have like a reputation of being pretentious.
Oh, snobby.
Yeah,
Like a Tool fan.
Even in our Biggest Regrets episode, in the Frank Ocean one, he's like, hey, let's listen to something like Radiohead. And she's like, Radio who? No, put on Drake. Like, they're known for being like the nerdy guys, the pretentious people, the music snobs. Because Radiohead is like art rock. Experimental art rock kind of music.
Kind of, yeah, sure.
No, definitely.
Well, to be fair, I'm only going off of this album because I haven't listened to a ton
Exactly.
of Radiohead. Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I picked this, is because of the fact that we talked about it in the Lahan Navas self-titled album, because one of my favorite tracks on that, and favorite tracks in general, is a cover of Weird Fishes, which is from this album.
Sure is.
I'm not a Radiohead fan.
Oh, okay.
So have you really listened to them, Jamie?
I've listened to some Radiohead. I like the album that has Creep on it.
I've heard Creep.
And the one, Fake Plastic Trees, whatever album that one's on. I've listened to that one. I am not a Radiohead fan, but I enjoyed this record.
I didn't know.
Those are my thoughts on that.
I didn't.
Thanks for watching.
I didn't know if I would be a fan or not, because it's a band that's like always been around for as long as it. Like, when did Radiohead start? Like mid '90s?
First album was 93.
Yeah, early 90s, yeah. So they've been around for like almost as long as I have. And I've just never listened to them, probably for those same reasons. Is because, people who like them are usually like, I don't know, the kid in
Okay,
the
computer,
corner.
changed my life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I don't know. That's kind of been my thing, my hang up towards listening to them. I liked In Rainbows as well. I enjoyed the album a lot more than I thought I would. I kind of expected to either dislike it or just be relatively neutral on it. But no, for the most part, actually,
I enjoyed it.
I really liked it. I think my biggest problems were just like Tom York singing about half the time. I either really like his voice or I really dislike his voice on a lot of songs.
He sounds like he's trying to do a very good impression of the Muse on this
Right,
album.
he sounds like Muse.
Well, Muse would sound like Radiohead, but yeah.
Sure.
But typically, Tom York does not sound like the guy.
He doesn't
from
do this all the
Muse.
time?
Not
He doesn't
always.
do the
He does quite a bit of falsetto stuff.
like crazy vocaling and okay.
But yeah, this one, since I'm not a huge Radiohead fan, I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about the band. Like, if you want to know, I'm sure somebody has made a 6-hour video essay on YouTube about Radiohead, so listen to that. But I actually do have quite a bit of information about this record, as I bought it when it first came out.
Oh,
So
for how much? How much you pay?
Exactly. So getting into that, I chose this because, like I said, I kind of have like it's a core music memory for me. I listened to some of the most popular songs, Creep, all that kind of stuff.
What
Today,
else?
OK Computer.
What else is there besides Creep? I don't even know.
OK Computer and Kid A are both like good.
Okay,
They're good albums. I kind of listened to a couple songs off of each of them. As for like standout ones, it's hard because In Rainbows has all the standout tracks for me, so I can't really name a ton of individual tracks unless it's from this album. But when I was 13, this released, and I had no money, so like I had a couple CDs, kind of stuff like that. But I'd never really bought digital music for my iPod because iTunes was insane. But this released as a pay-what-you-want album.
Yeah.
So you would download it straight from their site. And it was actually, weirdly enough, it's credited as one of the first surprised album releases. So there was no marketing or publicity. They were just like, here's this album, pay what you want kind of thing.
That's cool.
And I did. I paid $1. I could have downloaded it for free. But I was like, oh, this is so weird. It was in the news, and like that's why I'd heard about it, because people thought this was going to destroy the music industry.
Yeah.
They're like, if Radiohead is giving away their music for free, how does a small band justify $15 for a CD? And this is going to ruin everything. And some artists were like, this is revolutionary and beautiful that they'd give away their music. And people were like the guy from 9 Inch Nails was like,
Trent Reznor.
yeah, this doesn't go far enough. This is really just a ploy and a play. Like, because they ended up releasing an album or two with Creative Commons licensing, so like you could use their music. So they like went a step further. But a lot of people thought this was gonna ruin everything. So I ended up buying this one for $1, and it really changed the music I listened to.
Interesting.
So I wasn't really into music before this album. Like, I listened to the Beatles, I listened to Weird Al, Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, but that was like it. Pretty much like whatever was
The
popular.
4 classics.
Yeah, honestly, the top 5 albums or artists of all time would be those 4, and Radiohead clearly number 5. But yeah, it really changed me to start listening to more music, and I was like,
cool.
man, alt rock is awesome, and it became quickly one of my most played albums at the time. Like walking around middle school, I became that pretentious snob, going like, oh, "Sorry, I don't listen to T.I. I'm too busy listening to Radiohead." But it's really good. This was their first album after like a 4-year hiatus, so like I had never really had any chance to even listen to them. And then like they dropped this album when I was a conscious being instead of a small child, and was like, "This rocks." Did you guys like, Jamie? Did you listen to this before it, like now?
I had heard the singles that had come out because at the time of release, I still listened to the alt rock station or the alternative station. What the hell?
Yeah, I've probably heard like a few, like aside from Creep, I'm sure I've heard a Radiohead song or two on the radio growing up.
Yeah.
What are the singles from this album? And like
let's look
when
it
does
up.
side A end? I don't know any of the physical stuff. I listen to it digitally.
Yeah, I believe Body Snatchers, Nude, and
The 2 singles
Jigsaw?
were Jigsaw's Falling Into Place and Nude.
Oh, that's
yeah, that
cool.
Jigsaw falling in place. And interesting, like Nude wouldn't be what I would even
No.
really kind of say the tone of the album is. It's one of the few slower songs on it. Jigsaw falling in place is good though, but Nude ended up being very, very popular and everything like that. And we'll come talk more about it when we get into individual songs. But yeah, it's interesting. The idea behind the album is the realization and panic that sets in when you realize you're going to die, and maybe you're supposed to be doing something else other than like your standard day to day.
That was cool.
And I guess I kind of see it in the lyrics. A lot of it's kind of like hitting the bottom and trying to bounce
Yeah.
back, or falling in love and it not working out. Like it's kind of just like slice of life kind of lyric stuff.
I recall reading that Radiohead prior to this album was more political in nature.
Yeah, so they made a point of this not being political.
Yeah.
They're like, this song that you think is political? No, it's not. It's not political.
It's all about introspectiveness.
yeah.
That's cool.
Because I think Body Snatchers, people thought was one that was going to be political, and he's like, no, it's like literally about ghosts or something like that. Like it was something. He had like a reason to be like, no, it is not political. But the album is critically acclaimed. Most people think it's one of the best albums.
I remember when it came out. I remember seeing the album cover and thinking, wow, that's a cool album cover. I like how it's just like in rainbows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in like Future Shop flyers. Remember
Yeah,
when Future Shop
totally.
advertised new release CDs?
CDs,
and
Bring it back.
yeah.
Well, speaking about the album, may as well go into that. Yeah, the album itself is cool. It's just like this artwork by Stanley Donwood, who's, I don't know, a famous artist who's worked with him a bunch. And he was just listening to the album. I was like, ooh, it's very sensual. It's very like whole being human kind of album. So he just splotched paint and wax and stuff like that.
With
and then
syringes and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then photographed it and stuff like that. And it has in rainbows and text with slashes and then Radiohead at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's a very aesthetic album. And the back, just more paint.
It's like the life of Pablo on
Very art house.
with the text. It's kind of like weirdly syncopated with the little punctuation marks.
It does have text on the front. I'll give you that.
Like Life of Pablo.
Life of Pablo does have text on the front. I don't know if I'd say it's like this, but it does have text on the front. In the back is just paint splashes. Again, all the text is justified, which just looks odd. Like all the stretched out words to like make it fit half the page.
That's cool.
And the
though.
sleeve is the same thing with like the justified text, which is very weird because some of the lyric lines, because all the sleeve has lyrics on it. So some of them will just be like one word stretched across like a pretty long line. But what is really interesting when I actually was looking at it, I'm like, man, the songs are very simple. None of the songs are very long. Like some of them only have 6 lines of text and it's just repeating or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Or it's just a shorter song, which I think is really interesting and maybe again makes it a bit more accessible because Tom York's voice is very unique and sometimes hard to understand.
Yeah, he can be definitely hard to understand a couple times.
This album sort of does the same thing that, well, I won't use Exile on Main Street as the prime example, but it's one of those ones where it buries the lyrics or the vocal underneath the music a little bit.
Yeah, I wanted him to get turned up a few times.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm having trouble.
So the instrumentation is above the lyrics.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know
it's
if that's
interesting.
intentional or not.
Because I would agree, but I also think it still stands out because there's not usually effects on the vocals, but there'll be effects on all the instruments. So there's like Body Snatchers in particular. The lyrics or the instruments are very fuzzy, but the lyrics are not at all.
Yeah.
Versus past songs we've listened to, it's like the whole thing is fuzzy and it feels muddy. But because there's like that little bit of clarity in the vocals, even though everything is very loud, you can still like pinpoint and focus on what's being heard with the music kind of surrounding it.
It's very much that they recorded the instrumentation, then recorded the lyrics on top of them. Yeah, it wasn't recorded at the same time or live, as I think that sometimes they call it.
I think a couple of them are.
Interesting.
It wasn't every track where I couldn't hear him. It was just like one or two where in
Yeah.
my notes I'm like, yeah, he's really quiet compared to the instruments, and I
Yeah.
wish they'd turn him up a little bit, but whatever. It kind of worked.
I played this
so.
album while I was playing through a match of Company of Heroes.
Oh, nice.
like a couple of weeks ago. And then I played it again. Because
Company Heroes of the album.
the album, because the match went on for another 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow, nice.
So,
You know, Tom York actually said that's the ideal way to listen to this album.
yeah, listen, playing Company of
Company
Heroes.
of
Yeah.
Heroes, slaughtering
Blasting.
the enemy.
A game that
The
came out
Allies.
the same year. A game that came out the same year as this
Blessing the
album.
Allies.
Oh no!
Cliff, how did you listen? Did you listen speakers, headphones?
Just headphones, yeah. If I don't have it on vinyl myself, then I'll usually use my headphones from my computer, because my computer speakers suck. So
They do.
sometimes though, I'll either buy or I'll download the record, and I will then put it on a CD and listen to it in my car, because I think that's always like a really fair shake. I don't know how many I don't know like if anyone famous said it, but I've heard from a few audio producers like you really want to be able to listen to something in a car on like regular speakers to know whether it's mixed well or not,
Oh,
because a lot of the time they can just go way overboard and you're listening to it on something that everyone's going to be typically listening to it on, and if it doesn't sound good there, then it doesn't matter.
listen to it on a clock radio.
Yeah, all right.
Well, the only other thing included with the record is a little digital download code, so you can have it, burn all the
Hey.
CDs you want. Feel no guilt.
Thanks.
Otherwise, yeah, that's it. Do you guys want to listen to it?
One more time.
Hell yeah!
I won't take my eyes off the ball again. First you reel me out and then you cut the string. I hit the bottom, and forget about your house of cards and I'll do mine.
What an album!
I refuse to be the one who says it. I refuse.
I was waiting.
Yeah. What? So this is a very fast start to the album.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, it really just hits you with that drum line, and I personally really like it. It's very exciting.
I really like the drums on 15 Step. It's pretty layered. I don't know if they're using a drum machine or not, because it sounds like pretty layered there. But I don't know. I like the bass line around 215, but then it just kind of goes away and doesn't come back. And then there's like some samples or something in it for a bit in the second half. And
With like the kids?
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
They actually went to a school, and they had them try to do the clapping that comes in later on, but they
Oh.
apparently weren't good, so they just had them cheer, and they put that in.
Okay. Yeah, this one like almost sounded kind of industrial even to me, just a little bit. I wasn't super big on Tom's voice on the track, but I actually really liked the rest of it. I liked 15 Step. It was cool.
Yeah, I like it. It is very dynamic. Like, again, the different sound effects that come in the later half of the song, it starts to kind of break down a bit and get faster. And I have to say, in every single episode, I like trancey type music. So again, I just really get into that
Yeah.
repeating and weird droning at the end. And some of the drumming and clapping is actually inspired by Peaches.
Oh,
The song "F the Pain Away."
that's cool.
I was like, huh, interesting.
Oh.
Wow.
Do you have any thoughts, Jamie?
Nope.
No thoughts,
Well-
just drums.
I hope you like Body Snatchers.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of thoughts on this one. I
Oh,
like
really?
it. The fuzz is cool.
Yeah.
And like I said, I feel like there's a difference between the fuzz on this song versus others.
Yeah.
It really let the music surround me with like him and being in the center and me listening to the vocals while everything surrounds. But it didn't really do a whole lot for me. It just like wasn't maybe the tone after 15 Step. I like wanted something a bit upper beat. So I don't
Right.
know if it was just like the bit of a clash in that, but Body Snatchers just doesn't really engage me.
This is one of the ones where I thought they could have turned him up a little bit more, because
I
he's
agree.
kind of quiet compared to the rest of it. I actually liked the end. So like, here's the thing: is like I flip-flop on his voice almost every song. On this one, I actually really liked where he's just vocalizing with the instruments before the end of it. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was good. I
I thought the instrumentation on this on let's try that again. I thought the instrumentation on this one was pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked how the guitar sounded on it.
Yeah, it was cool guitar.
Yeah. Maybe a little. Remember Wolf Mother? Remember they were a
Oh,
band?
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joker and the Thief.
Yeah, the
it's
Joker
still-
and the Thief, and then that.
Yeah, they were okay. I think I might have a Wolf Mother album. I don't know. It had nice guitars. I liked it.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. I don't really have a ton of thoughts about any of the songs on this album. I thought they were all pretty okay.
Yeah. How do you feel about Nude?
I like being nude sometimes, like in
He's
the shower.
nude right now.
Oh,
Oh, whoa! Where did this come from?
got my short shorts on.
What do you think of it being one of the singles?
I don't think it's a single.
I don't know. So if you look through, some of them were released as singles, but like promotional singles. They
Sure.
weren't like the ones that they released to radio stations.
Oh.
So Nude being a single, I don't think it's really a strong song from the album to be a single. I didn't hate it though. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I think the reason why it's a single, and it's kind of interesting, is that this was actually a song from OK Computer back in '97, but they scrapped it, so it never made on the album. So they played it live a lot, and people were like, "This is the best non-album song they
Seriously?
have." So then they revamped a little bit of it, and I think they changed like the bass line and put it on this album. So then immediately it was like a big hit because people knew and were kind of waiting for it. And it was their first top 40 hit since Creep in '92.
Holy shit.
So like it was really well received.
I
People
don't
loved
like.
it.
I don't like Nude. I thought it was a weird departure from Body Snatchers. And
Well, that's because I guess it's
15
because it's not
Step.
written
Yeah.
for this album. Yeah.
I didn't like the singing on it. I thought it kind of dragged on. I liked the drums, and I even wrote no idea why it was a single. To be honest.
You know what's funny? You say it drags on, but it's only 10 seconds longer than Body Snatchers.
I know, but there's something about it just drags on. There's
Yeah.
not a lot. There's not a lot of super long tracks on this one. I wasn't
No.
ever like upset with track length, but this one just I was like I could be.
Which
done
is
with this
interesting
song.
because there are longer songs. Like the average
Yeah.
being 4.5 minutes. Like those are pretty long songs.
Sure.
But I
Like-
agree, none of them feel super
No.
long. This one here, it doesn't do a whole lot for me. Like I think his performance is very strong. Like he being able to hit those high, almost like
Sure.
feminine notes, and then coming back down and then going back up. It's very impressive. But again, I think in this album it doesn't really fit. But I also understand like clearly it did drum up a lot of hype because people wanted this song after 10 years.
And if
of
there's
being
an
performed.
album to just kind of slide it into, the one that they're releasing for quote unquote free is the one to put it on. I'd
Sure.
say. Yeah.
It does feel a little bit more throwaway than the rest. Like it was just included because they needed to round out a track list.
Totally.
Apparently, they tried to release this on the other two albums in between, so Kid A and Amnesiac, or maybe it was Amnesiac and Hail to the Thief. Either way, but they weren't able to just make it work. So like whatever the producer or bassist did to change that bass line, they were like, okay, now it's actually good enough to release. So I would love to hear the other versions to be like, oh, interesting. Like this is how it evolved, and is this actually the best one?
Yeah.
But I think regardless, it maybe doesn't. It's just this order. Maybe if this had gone after Weird Fishes when it's starting to slow down a bit, it would have made sense. But going from 15 Step and Body Snatchers to something
this.
so slow
Yeah.
is a little jarring.
Yeah.
So with not liking it, it kind of adds to that. But Weird Fishes.
I like it. I didn't.
Song
I
rocks.
didn't like Leon Lehavis's cover that much. I do really, really like this. I'm kind of just a sucker for arpeggio. I don't know. I just think it sounds really pretty and
does.
rhythmic. Yeah, like I like. Oh man, like even arpeggios from Hell. It's such a classic. I don't know. Yeah, I totally prefer this one. I think the drums are really solid and clean. My one complaint was that I wish that instead of saying they stay like really soft, I want it to like pick up more, and it kind of
Like
does.
where?
It kind of does at 3:45, but it's more like psychedelic. When I would have preferred to like turn more hard rock and kind of drive home instead.
That's why I like Leon Lehavis's more. 'Cause
Really?
She yells those last
That's
lines.
fair.
And I'm like, if Tom York did that, where he's like powerfully
thought
yelling
way
it,
better.
I'd be like, oh, this is star.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He goes, hit the ball. Like he stays
Yeah,
low
it
while
just-
it's going up.
Yeah.
Versus Leon Lehavis goes up with it. And I'm
I
like,
thought
oh,
I thought it was
interesting.
a strange one for her to cover, but
Yeah, that's
having heard the Radiohead version, I don't know. I'm kind of in between on both of them. I like Weird Fishes. I think I don't know which one I like.
Maybe
better
I got to
now.
go back and listen to hers again. And see if
Yeah.
I like it more. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting. This was the first time I've listened to this song since I discovered Leon Lahavis's.
Right.
Because I was just like, well, I like hers better. Why would I listen to this one? And after I listened to it while looking at the lyrics this time, and I was like, okay, his version kind of fits the lyrics in a different way because it's about like, or you can read it as falling in love. Oh, it's going to work this time. Oh, it didn't. But now I've hit the bottom and I'm going to bounce back kind of thing. So his like sad take kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But hers also does in the way that you're going to bounce back from rock bottom. So you're saying it powerfully and like driven.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, I kind of get the original one. And it's definitely not leagues worse than Leon Lahavis's like I'd originally thought.
Hers has a lot more emotion into it, I guess. Yeah.
Versus his is more the depressing reality of the lyrics of
Yeah.
like, back at the bottom and time to go back up to the top or get out of this again. Like it's very sad, but it's my favorite song on the album for sure. It's like I like the journey that takes you on.
Maybe they took notes from the Growlers on this one.
Maybe.
Hopefully not too many notes. Up next is All I Need.
Yeah, this felt like it belongs in a movie in the early 2000s. Either
Well,
like,
It does feel like a soundtrack, doesn't
right?
it?
Yeah. It's like, either at the beginning of the movie or at like the lowest moment during the hero's downfall. I liked it. I think it's like sad and sappy. Sometimes I think less is more, and I don't like the extra sort of sound effects or whatever they're adding about halfway in. I really liked the crescendo near the end, though. It was a good track. Like I liked All I Need.
Yeah, the song's all right. It's nothing crazy, but the music video is crazy good.
I didn't see the music
So,
video.
when I
It won
say
a whole
crazy
bunch of
good,
awards,
it
I
won-
remember
It
that.
won 16 awards.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is
damn.
crazy.
Remember
I
when
always
MTV
watch the
used to do music
videos.
awards?
Oh man.
So it won a bunch, like even humanitarian awards. Like it won a bunch because I'm not going to explain
Was
the whole
nominated
thing.
for a Grammy,
but it was
too.
What the hell happens in the music video?
so it's a brief version of it. Is the screen is split, and on the left side there's a 10-year-old boy in England living a normal life, going to school, eating breakfast. And on the right is another 10-year-old boy or whatever age, but he's in like an Asian country, and he goes to the sweatshop and he's making stuff. He's getting beat or whatever, and at the end you see that he's making the shoes that the boy in England is like
Right.
wearing for
I
his
think
school
I've seen
uniform.
this.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it. Maybe I've heard this before.
It's a
I
little
don't know,
ham-fisted
but I
in
feel
the
like
point.
I've seen this. Yeah, sure.
but like it is very powerful.
also, don't forget that's like 20 years ago.
yeah,
almost. So, I
he
mean,
really drove home the point by
Yeah.
driving home the point.
Yeah, so I think combined with the music video, it's really good. But I think on its own, it's just fine.
Yeah, it's
I
good
like
song.
the music, but it's not anything that'd be like, oh, I want to listen to this. I
The
just
song's
wouldn't
about
turn it off.
obsession, though. It's not really about working in a sweatshop, is it?
maybe you're
It's
obsessed
like
with
it's
the,
like love and like an obsession, and it's like I'm trying to draw a
obsession
comparison.
for the brand.
Yeah,
wanting
maybe.
to be the cool kid.
Yeah,
Doing
I guess
it
you could
for
take
the
some of it
gram.
as
I don't
obsession
know.
with a thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, it's fine. And then the next one's like a folk song.
Yeah, Faust Arp.
And
I don't know
it's
what that means.
short.
It's like 2 minutes.
I'm glad.
Yeah,
was not a
I
fan.
know. I don't like this one.
The only thing I like is that the lyrics are constant. Like I actually
do-
like that it's almost like poetic in the way
Yeah.
it's like he's just reading the lines consistently.
Yeah.
There's only a very, very short break before the last two lines of the
Sure.
song.
yeah. It
But
does-
I don't like count-ins. I'm like, are you trying to make it seem like this is all live? And if so, who cares? Like that doesn't add to the song. I just think count-ins are tacky. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm like, no.
Well, who are you? The Beatles?
Yeah, get out of here.
I don't mind them so much, but I didn't even actually notice that on this track.
It is very
Honestly.
quiet.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But it's fine.
Yeah.
It's whatever. It's like a concept song.
It is definitely a song on this album.
It's like an interlude or something.
But Reckoner,
Pretty
yeah.
decent.
I like the opening percussion and then the guitar that comes in shortly after. And then the backing vocals that come in like halfway through. Otherwise, I'm not like crazy about it. I don't like how it ends all that much. It's like a really super slow fade out, but I like the drums a lot on this track.
So interestingly enough, the guitar riff is an homage to John Frusciante.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's
no
like
wonder I like
my
it so much.
ham-fisted way, or my like not as good picking way of doing John Frusciante music. I, was like, I like it.
Cool.
I like that. I love the when the instruments die down before the last verse and the strings and harmonies kind of start up. It's just kind of like a little haunting. I don't know.
Sure.
I really like it though. It's just, I don't know. It's just haunting and beautiful in a way that's very different. Again, not something I would listen to super often, but if it like came on and I was enhanced, I'd be like, whoa.
Hey, this is
Oh,
trippy. Yeah,
enhanced.
that's crazy. I like that you use the word enhanced. There.
Yeah.
It's
Like you're a cyberpunk
It's a
character.
good psychonaut.
Oh.
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
Sponsored by Xbox Game Pass.
Oh, God. Sponsored by G Fuel.
Hell yeah.
Now, the song about Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, House
House
of
of Cards.
Yeah.
What a bad name for a track now. Oh my god.
It's a good song, though.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really like this.
The show was okay, too, until we found out that Kevin Spacey was a bad dude.
Yeah.
Classic.
I know, right? Yeah, I actually really liked it too. I like the laid back kind of vibe.
Yeah, I want to bask in the sun.
Not the
Yeah.
show. Not the show though. That doesn't have laid back.
No,
vibes.
not at all. But
Yeah.
it's got spooky vocals though, and then there's like chill guitar and drums. I actually really like this one.
I really just want to lay on the beach in
Yeah.
the sun and listen
Sure.
to this song and
Yeah.
fall asleep because it's very nice and dreamy, peaceful. It's
very-
another cool music video.
Yeah.
So it's all filmed with LiDAR. So it's really interesting and seeing the depth in their faces and like out on the streets.
Yeah.
So this album, one thing I didn't mention is that they did a contest for like every song to make music videos, and they'd either choose fan ones or release their own kind of thing. So some of the songs are like fan made ones that they made the official releases
Cool.
and stuff like that. So if you haven't listened to this album, definitely watch the music videos. They're all
Yeah,
really interesting.
I will. This is like the first time
They
where I
released
didn't
the
watch
stems
music
of the
videos.
album too for some of the songs.
They did
and had-
remix contests too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Was
Beastie
this
Boys did that a couple of years ago.
was
too.
this song about swingers? There's a line about putting keys in the bowl.
I don't know. I didn't
Yeah,
really think
throw your
about
keys
it.
in the bowl, kiss your husband goodnight.
Yeah.
Forget about your house of cards and I'll forget mine.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's just like forget about all your problems.
Yeah.
I'll forget about my problems.
Maybe.
And like interesting. I didn't actually think about it until literally now. It's like
Yeah, I
oh.
went to read the lyrics.
But then the
when I heard
cards
that.
fall off the table and get swept under. Denial. It's like, oh, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was about an orgy.
Hmm.
I don't. Yeah, I think my only complaint was I don't think it needs to be like 5.5 minutes long.
I never noticed.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought at around like 3 minutes. I'm kind of like, okay, I get it.
I think the dreaminess of it is probably why.
Sure.
It just kind of becomes a background versus like demanding your attention. So it's like, I
Right.
don't mind that it is.
Right.
But I did like how the singing's intensity kind of fades in and out. Like
Yeah.
he'll get louder and then quieter, like in the same line. And it kind of just made me feel like I was on a boat, just like on a wave going up and down, which kind of, again, just enhanced that like dream-like setting of this song where I'm like, whoa, very peaceful.
It's very art rocky.
Very,
yeah.
very. And you know what else is art rocky? Jigsaw falling into place.
Yeah, sort of. It's more alternative than.
Yeah, I
this,
wouldn't
but-
call this art rocky. I like
sorry,
it though.
I just tried to
It's okay.
segue.
It's a good
Alright.
segue. It's a good segue.
Yeah, it's funny. My first one was definitely a headbanger.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I really liked the kind of shift from high intensity, I like how the intensity ramps up to him almost yelling like halfway
Yeah.
through the song.
The
I really
bass
enjoyed
is really good on this one.
So this is one of the ones where he sings more like naturally, without going to really high falsettos or anything. And I actually really prefer when he sings like in his kind of normal lower range. Like he can hit high notes. I'm not saying he can't or anything. It's just I don't know. I prefer his voice here. I'm surprised that this one isn't the most played track on Spotify.
the
I think
song's
this
about-
is like the best track on the album.
The song's about drinking, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't-
about getting turnt, as the children would say.
Yeah, I think this is the one. So this is the song that is based on his time on like Oxford Street.
Oh,
So it's like
okay.
watching all these drunk people coming out of bars and stuff. So
Right.
that makes sense.
The guitar around 2:30 is like particularly
Yeah.
really good.
Also,
Yeah.
this is pretty much the most popular song. Weird Fishes is by far, but this is the second.
Okay.
Almost by
Spotify, yeah,
far,
Spotify has it.
Because I think the next closest one is like 6 or 7 million less
Yeah.
listens. But Weird Fishes is ahead by like 40 million.
Yeah,
listens.
it's like quite a bit. I'm surprised it's so good.
But no, I think I like it a lot. Again, it's very trancy. I like that head rocking, very just. It's like the lyrics that can just kind of apply to anybody. Like everyone
Yeah.
has a memory of being out and dancing and music and people and romance or whatever.
Video is kind of weird. You watched the video for this one?
No, I didn't for this one.
They're wearing cameras on like bike helmets.
Oh yes,
That's
as they're
cool.
playing the song.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I don't know. The song's fine. I liked it. It's definitely a headbanger. I like the bass line.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good.
Doom, doo, doom, doom.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it is good.
It's a radio-friendly unit shifter. No wonder they released it as a single.
Yeah, this one I can see why it's a single. Like it makes sense. Not as much for nude.
Or videotape because it wasn't one. It was
Oh,
not a single.
well, that makes
and
a
it
lot more
definitely should
sense.
not have been a single. It's probably my least favorite song on the album.
It doesn't suck, but it's not great.
It's yeah.
It's another one where I'm like, why is this the order? Again, it's like Nude, where it's like intense, very slow. We just had intense, and now very slow. It's like, okay.
The funny thing is, I originally had shuffle still turned on when I pressed play for this album,
Classic Plouffe.
and videotape came
What a
up second,
mistake.
and I was like, "Oh, that's a weird departure from from the first track."
It's a weird departure from the second to
And
last track.
my first note was like, "This should be like one of the last tracks on the album," and it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it fits here, but I do think it's weird that they go like up and down so much
Yeah, it should've
on the
been Nude.
album overall.
Maybe
yeah.
House of Cards, then Nude, then Videotape or something.
Sure,
Yeah, would
yeah.
have like paced it down. Because again, I don't know if pacing matters that much all the time, and like
Sure.
ending on a
I don't
downer.
think
but
Radiohead knows either.
yeah, it's just like whiplash. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah, I
I
wasn't
didn't like this one.
I wasn't crazy about videotape. It's not a strong finishing track.
I didn't know that the album ended on that because, as I was saying, I was caught up in playing a Company of Heroes match,
yeah.
and then
Blasting
Spotify
Alice.
continued to
Play Radiohead.
play another song, and it played the Smiths' "God Knows I'm Miserable Now."
You're like, that's a weird end to a Radiohead.
I was like, huh. I was like, oh wow, that's. I was like,
Spot on cover.
wow, that's. Then I looked over to my like other monitor, and it's
Yeah.
like playing the Smiths, and I was like, oh, I guess that sort of segues. I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Overall, I enjoyed listening to the album. I listened to it twice that night, and then I listened to it last night as well. I don't have a ton of thoughts on it, but none of them are like particularly negative. It's not like we listened to the Beths or something.
yeah, if you had to sum it up in a vinyl verdict, how would you?
8.5 out of 13, maybe
That's not
9,
bad.
maybe a
Wow.
9. We'll go with 9.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You get which one did we do last time? You get Paul's Boutique like a 10.
Yeah.
Wow, that's high praise for this album.
Very different though. Like if you had to
Oh, yeah,
like talk,
100%.
Yeah.
if you had to talk about them
Completely
back to back,
different
yeah,
albums.
very
Yeah.
different. Yeah. So
Plouffe, what do you
Yeah.
think?
what was Plouffe's album last week? Last time we didn't we do?
Growlers
Growlers, yeah.
Oh yeah. So that was was that before or after Paul's Boutique?
after,
Oh,
because that's the order.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
So I definitely
did
liked it
the
way
aging.
more than the Growlers.
Yeah. I liked it more than I thought I would. Would I buy this album? No, not for like a regular $30 record price or whatever, but as a pay what you want.
Yeah,
or whatever. Sure, I'd throw $5.
How much did you pay for this LP?
Ah, yeah,
We didn't
that
get
is a
into
good
that
question.
part.
How
Yeah.
much was the record itself? That version?
I think it was like $40 to $45.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
too
and
much.
that's like how much it sells for, if not more.
It's a singular LP.
Yeah.
Is there anything
180
special
grand.
about the pressing in general?
No.
No.
Colored vinyl or
180.
anything?
No,
Nah.
just black.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't like probably pick it out to play for like myself or for company if I did own it, but I would actually like pick tracks from this album and put it on a playlist if I was making a big playlist of music.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah, because I do like Body Snatchers a lot, and I really like Jigsaw Falling Into Place.
I like the label.
I didn't think that there were outright like super bad tracks. There were some I didn't like as much as others. I actually originally rated it at like a 6.5 because I had just listened to videotape. But now that like after I read my notes and I listened to a couple tracks again, I was like, no, I'd give this like a 7, maybe even a 7.5, honestly, out of 10. I liked it more than I thought I would. It's all right. I can kind of understand why people like Radiohead and Tom York. I still don't think he's necessarily for me, but it's all right. It's fine.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, for myself, did this album ruin the music industry? No.
No.
But
No, music industry ruined the music industry.
Radiohead, they never did Pay What You Want again. And they probably did it on the best album they could, since I think this was probably a great introductory to their music.
That's fair, yeah.
Maybe misleading, but a very good introduction to bring in new fan base to the album. And it worked on me and really shaped my music, so I appreciate it for that. Like I said, for around $40 to $45, I think it's worth it. The cover alone is gorgeous. The music is exciting and unique, and I think it's the most accessible way to show people this kind of like alt rock kind of music.
Sure.
It's definitely in my top 5 so far. I think I'm going to put it in the number 4 spot, so below EP1 and EP2 by Yeji, but above Leon Lahavas' self-titled album.
Dang.
Though those two probably could be interswitched on the mood of the day. Like I think those two albums are very similar to me in like the scenario I'd want to put them on, or like what I want to listen, and they even share a track. So I mean,
Cool.
We almost
Yeah.
have to start making a list of like, oh, it's like, well, on a Tuesday, I may enjoy listening.
No, you're complicated enough. With your
Yeah,
13 scale.
13.
You get
Who does
no
13?
additional complications.
Follow us on our website that doesn't exist yet.
Well, it does. It just redirects to someone else's website.
Hell yeah.
Anchor. Finalverdict.com. One of us will make a website eventually. But you know what we will do
Squarespace.
sooner than that? We'll listen to Jamie's pick.
Cool.
What's your pick next?
Yeah, Jamie, what are you picking?
We're listening to Boston.
I love Boston's Boston.
Boston's Boston. Wow, that's a spoiler, but sure. I
I've
also
never listened
like.
to Boston.
I've heard it so many times. It's
never
a
been to
classic,
Boston.
Classic album.
I don't even know who Boston is. I've heard of the name, but I've never.
Wow.
The cover has spaceships, but if you turn it upside down, it's got guitars
That's crazy.
that are spapeships.
I never noticed that. Okay, well, save it for later. Save it for next
Save
week.
it for
Oh,
next.
yeah, I don't even need to
Whoa,
tune in
whoa,
next
whoa.
week now that I know that.
Yeah,
Plouffe
geez.
loves it and it's got guitar
It's over.
spaceships,
Don't
yeah.
even listen to it.
Wow.
Don't do that. I'm kidding. Please listen.
Please listen
it.
to next week.
Please
I hope you
Follow
enjoyed
us on
this
Please
one.
Twitter
listen
at
to it.
Final Verdict. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.